Welcome to College Smart Radio, helping you bring into focus the true cost of college and how to tackle the runaway cost of financing a college education. College Smart Radio is hosted by Beatrice Schultz, a certified financial planner and founder of Westface College Planning. Now, here's your host for College Smart Radio, Beatrice Schultz.
Have you considered joining an organization and sharing your skills and expertise to help out your community? Have you wondered how your student can get involved in the community and possibly qualify for the many private college scholarships that are awarded in our community? On today's College Smart Radio program, I'll be discussing the whys and hows of community involvement and community scholarships with Peggy Martin, an owner of 2 financial services companies plus an active member in the community. Hi, I'm Beatrice Schultz. Welcome to our weekly show, College Smart Radio, where we help you tackle the runaway costs of a college education. Our show is all about bringing up-to-date and practical advice to parents who are dealing with the cost of a college education for their kids. With some private schools costing over $60,000 a year, a UC costing close to $35,000, and a California State University running $25,000, parents need more help than ever. We bring you that help by sharing ways to pay less, tapping into financial aid, and prioritizing your source of funds to make sure you get through the most expensive years of your life. Based on my own education and experience, I share my insights with you week in and week out. I'm a certified financial planner and the owner of the San Carlos-based college planning business, Westface College Planning. I host educational workshops on college planning and consult with parents on a daily basis. And I bring in experts in many areas of the college process. From counselors, financial aid officers, student coaches, parents, and even students, you'll learn firsthand the ins and outs of how to pay for college and survive financially. In addition to our show, you can find lots of powerful information at our website, collegesmartradio.com. We have many articles with up-to-date information on navigating the waters of paying for the runaway cost of college. We have a monthly e-newsletter full of content about college planning. We also have posted a glossary of key terms used in the world of college planning. Terms like total cost of attendance, scholarships, FAFSA, net price calculator, and so forth. And we have a link to our free community parent workshops and webinars that I host to teach parents about how to pay for college and how the financial aid system really works. Let's get started with today's show. Parents often ask me the question, how can my student get access to the many private college scholarships that are out there? If you Google private scholarships, you'll see pages and pages of private scholarships. In fact, the number of scholarships and the amount of money available is growing as the cost of college is increasing, and so many more students need more help. Generally, scholarships are available for students with specific qualifications, such as academic, athletic, or artistic talent. Awards are also available for students who are interested in particular fields of study, who are members of underrepresented groups, who live in certain areas of the country, or who demonstrate financial need. There are many scholarship search websites available, but I always recommend that my students start local. Get involved in your community and you'll learn more about getting access to these scholarships. As a student or a business leader, getting involved in the community offers great rewards. My guest on today's show is Peggy Martin. Peggy has spent her career in the financial services industry and is now the owner of 2 companies based here in San Jose, Family Wealth Consultants, Inc. and Estate Guidance and Insurance Services, Inc. These 2 comprise of the Family Wealth Consulting Group. Peggy holds the financial designations of CHFC, CASL, and CLU. She has a BS in Business Management from the University of Phoenix online program and a Master's of Science in Financial Services from the American College. Community involvement is very important to Peggy and the Family Wealth Consulting Group. Peggy is a past president of the Silicon Valley Planned Giving Council. Through the council, she's participated in the Incubator Project, which supports local nonprofits to create their planned giving policies and procedures. She's worked with the Santa Clara County Girl Scouts, Silicon Valley Children's Fund, Hospice of the Valley, and Loaves and Fishes. Peggy now holds the role of CFO for the Morgan Hill branch of the American Association of University Women, the AAUW. AAUW's mission is to offer educational opportunities for girls and women through a variety of programs and scholarships. Peggy and I met through the National Association of Women Business Owners in Silicon Valley, an organization for owners of businesses here in the Silicon Valley. Hi, Peggy. Welcome to College Smart Radio.
Welcome. Thank you, Beatrice.
Thanks so much for joining me, Peggy. I just shared some of your bio. I didn't even add the fact that other than owning 2 businesses, you also enjoy gourmet cooking, reading, knitting, sewing. How do you fit all that in, plus community involvement?
Well, as I have grown in maturity, I realize that community is extremely important. And I also know that we seem to find time for things that are important to us, even with busy schedules. And being active in my local community is something that is very important to me. I want to help others. And, there could come a time when I need some help from others as well. So I think involvement, as you mentioned earlier, is a great way to be able to create that segue and that community.
Thank you for sharing that. And for all of our audience, I think getting involved in the community can give so much more back to you than what you actually give. Tell us a little bit about the AAUW.
Well, the AAUW is a program that I joined for a couple of reasons. Primarily because a client of mine recommended that I join, that it was a very fun thing to do, and that the mission was great, helping to promote education to young women and reentry career women, which has been very critical to me since I did get my education later in life. I wanted to help, and I do want to help those to become educated earlier if possible. But the bigger mission of AAUW is the education, but it's also equity. Equity for women in all forms of employment and also in equity of pay. And that is one of the things that the group is quite passionate about. We participate in Equal Pay Day. We do a lot of things within the community to promote that women are typically getting about 77 cents on the dollar for their employment compensation.
I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm sure those numbers have probably gotten better. Have they gotten better as we had more consciousness towards the equity
better.
Question?
We've got lots of room for improvement, though.
Absolutely. And I think that this is a great example, as Peggy's sharing, of getting involved in the community in something that you have a little bit of passion about. I am already feeling a little bit of passion towards the AAUW. So how do you educate, or how do you help to educate, or how do you help to manage or try to do something about this equity issue?
Well, I think awareness is the primary issue. Truly the awareness of knowing that there is the gap in pay. And I also think it helps to educate women to understand that there is a gap in pay. As women, we may not be the best negotiators and understand that there is that gap. So just understanding that it's there and keeping the message out.
So what type of programs do you have so that is it for members to learn, or for the general community to learn, or to, I guess, be educated or be a part of the program?
Well, good question. We do have monthly programs, and our monthly programs consist of guest speakers such as authors, scientists, educators, filmmakers, and panel discussions. Early in the year, there is a thing called Silicon Valley Reads, and we work with Friends of Morgan Hill Library to create a program where the authors of books that have been chosen by Silicon Valley Reads come to speak to all the local libraries in the Santa Clara County community. So that's one area where we're, again, focusing on education, on reading. But the one thing that our group does in Morgan Hill is we have a candidates forum at election time. And I think that is really helpful to the local community to get to know those that are running for public office rather than just seeing names and signs around town. You actually get to hear the candidates speak. There is a question and answer period. So it's a neat community service that our group does. And we participate in the 4th of July parade and also the Taste of Morgan Hill. So we're very active with the local community.
Wonderful to be active with the local community and to continue to educate them on the points or the, I guess, the mission of the AAUW. So if people wanted to, is this available open to the community? In that example, where would you advertise this event, you would host it, but anyone in the community could come and learn about the local candidates?
That is correct. It is very much advertised throughout the community. We do encourage total community participation. So it's not just our membership that is coming to this. It's a service that we are providing back to the community.
So Peggy's a part of the Morgan Hill AAUW, and I will have a link to that website on my College Smart Radio website, so you can link on that. And also from that link, you can find out if there's an AAUW program that's closer to where you live, also, if you're a listener that's not based in Morgan Hill.
Right. There are branches all over the state of California, all over the United States. It's quite a large organization.
So what about, what are the other parts that you enjoy of being part of the community, I guess, or part of this AAUW program? You've got some social events that are part of the program also?
Yes, we do. We are a group that loves to socialize, and in socializing, we eat. So we get lots of good foods, new recipes, and fun times. But some of the important events that we do that promotes the education is in our fall membership brunch. We have the students that we have selected to go to Tech Trek, which is a science and math camp held at Stanford University about the middle of July each year. And the selection is such that students have to apply to be selected. And they write an essay, they complete a questionnaire, and they have their teacher's promotion, their math and science teacher's promotion. And they talk to us in September after they've gone through the event. So we get to hear all of their great experiences and what they learned and why it was important to them. And that's very rewarding to know that all of our fundraising has come to a nice completion by seeing the graduates of this program.
Now, the Tech Trek program, is that only for AAUW, or is that something that you sponsor some kids to go? Or
No, Tech Trek is sponsored by AAUW California.
So other AAUW groups are also sponsoring kids to go to the program?
Within the state of California, that is correct.
Well, so maybe you can tell a little bit about the program, and because I think it's really interesting when I talk to parents, they're like, well, what can my kids do to get themselves into college? And I always say, well, if they enjoy the community, if they are good students, if they get involved in sports, those are all the things that are going to help them get into college. But it sounds like this Tech Trek is a great education, as well as just one more step along the way to kind of building your resume to having a good life.
Yes, it's definitely a program if your math and science teachers think you are a cream of the crop student, that you understand the principles of math and science, and that you are motivated in that field or in those fields. That it's something that the girls are at the campus for a full week. And sometimes it's their first time away from home. So this is a whole new experience for them, and the whole experience is sponsored by the local AAUW, so they're not paying to go to it. It's something that we help to fundraise for. So it's a great educational process, and it can be part of a resume that they did participate in this group.
Sounds good. Great opportunity. We're going to take a break right now. You're with us with College Smart Radio, where my guest today is Peggy Martin, who's the CFO of the Morgan Hill branch of the AAUW. Peggy and I were just discussing Tech Track, which is a program for middle school programs, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more about other programs that they have. We'll be right back after the quick break.
For more information on today's topic, visit collegesmartradio.com or call area code 650-587-1559. College Smart Radio continues in moments on AM 1220 KDOW. Contact Beatrice Schultz at collegesmartradio.com or call area code 650-587-1559. Now, back to College Smart Radio with your host Beatrice Schultz on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back to College Smart Radio, where we help you tackle the runaway costs of college. I'm Beatrice Schultz. We all know that college is expensive and will most likely be some of the most costly years for a family. Understanding how to navigate the college costs is a smart thing to know. To help families be on this radio show, I host community workshops live and via webinar several times a month that explain the costs of various colleges, how the financial aid system works, and things to consider to prepare yourself for this tremendous expense. To learn more and reserve your seat, go to my website at collegesmartradio.com. If you've just joined us, my guest on today's College Smart Radio program is Peggy Martin. Peggy is the owner of the Family Wealth Consulting Group based in San Jose and also the CFO of the Morgan Hill branch of the AAUW, the American Association of University Women. We've been discussing community involvement. Peggy, we were just talking about the Tech program, and I didn't say that correctly, the Tech Trek program for middle schools that you guys, that the AAUW supports. What kind of programs do you guys also support for high school kids or going on to community college or colleges?
Well, one other program that we have is called GYMS, which is Girls Engaged in Math and Science. And that is from an age group of 7th grade through 12th grade. And again, the whole idea here is women tend to be hesitant, or statistically have been hesitant, to be in science and math. And we want to promote the STEM education: science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And I think it's a great way for a lot of young women to be designed to go down that path. And between our Tech Trek program and GYMS, I think that is a really good way for a student to understand that this might be a path to follow. As a matter of fact, we have a graduate from Tech Trek who graduated from high school this year and didn't think she ever wanted to have a career in science or math, thought she was going to be a lawyer. And because she was a Tech Trek graduate and a GYMS participant, she has changed her mind, and she is going on the curriculum of STEMs: science, technology, engineering, and math. So that's a really great switch.
Well, I'm happy to hear that also as an engineer myself. And boy, when I was in engineering, there weren't a lot of girls in the program, but I'm more disappointed to hear 30 years later, there still aren't that many girls in engineering. And so I love to hear about these programs. So the GYMS, maybe you can say a little bit about what, if you're part of GYMS, is it a meeting you go to? I understand the Tech Trek's a week camp. What's GYMS? Is that a program?
Well, GYMS is a program that is done throughout the year, and there's a variety of different activities that are put on, all related to science, math, and technology. Sometimes they go to special performances at special museums that are designed around science and math and technology. And they get together, I think, and also do kind of like we do in some of our groups, and they brainstorm together and figure out, gee, what a fun area this is, learning more about this mathematical process or robotics. How does that work? Those types of things.
So I know that the AAUW has some scholarships for community college and college for kids. Are most of the kids that are awarded these scholarships part of the Tech Trek or the GYMS program, or is it, or do people apply, or in general, how do people get these scholarships?
Well, like many service organizations within the community, we do have a special screening process that is not relative to Tech Trek or GYMS for the actual scholarships that are paid out. We have a very dedicated group of ladies, many of them have been educators, that understand how to work with the high school students and reentry career women, understand what's important, what kind of questions do they need to be asking on the questionnaires to see, do they really have a good candidate here to provide scholarship money to. And from what I gather, there's just a lot of great reward in being able to pick out that special person to be able to deliver that scholarship to.
Now, I think for our audience, it's important. Many families will say to me, well, how can we qualify for those? Should we even bother applying for private scholarships? And I think what's really important is to get involved in the community, be the best high school student you can be, and that's going to give you that best resume to go to college, and possibly get involved in a lot of these community services where the community gets to know you and they recognize that you may be a candidate, whether you apply for it or whether they identify you through the high school. It shouldn't be work, but it is a little bit of work just to get yourself out that door, away from those video games, and just meet your neighbor and be a part of the community. So I just love that example of a kid who might make a different choice when they go away to college. And I think those same, you mentioned it briefly, Peggy, but I wouldn't mind hearing a little bit more about what the program is that you have for. Is this for people who want to go into a second career, that there's also some scholarships available for them? There
is for reentry career women. We work diligently to help women empower themselves and become educated so that they can go on and live that dream that they are envisioning for themselves. We have a Staying in Touch program where we get back in touch with our previous recipients. One example was the young Tech Trek girl. But we've also been able to, another recipient of ours has put her art in the Young Museum to be looked at. I mean, I think that's a wonderful actualization that from our small community, we're able to help somebody grow and show what they've been able to accomplish with their life. I think it's just a wonderful experience.
Well, and I love your example of art, because I find that often, and I was at a conference for actually the Dare to Be Digital conference that was hosted by Oracle this year back in March, and it was for 7th to 10th grade girls, and they talked, it was focused on digital technology, but one of the keynote speakers was an artist, and she talked about how she always thought she wanted to be an artist, but she just kind of got this science degree so that she could get some money along the way so she could be an artist. And then suddenly it's 10 years later, and she's kind of combined her artisticness with her technology, and now she was one of the lead designers at Google, and she just had kind of fell into this technology degree that she didn't necessarily knew she knew, but now she loved it, and she wanted to encourage others that the combination of kind of arts and science is real in what jobs are out there today.
Absolutely. It's amazing how many times art and science come together.
It's really true. So can community members join the AAUW? How do you join?
You join, it's pretty simple, actually. The best way, though, is by word of mouth. Again, a client of mine introduced me to the AAUW, and I'm delighted that I joined. And we have a website that offers a way to actually join the group, but we also talk it up to other community members by being at things like the Taste of Morgan Hill and being active in different community activities. And one thing I really enjoy about the AAUW, they give me tools to help create more in my business environment by helping me create confidence and understanding the importance of community and networking. And they do not take an active support of any one person's business. In other words, they don't promote any one person's business, but they give you so many wonderful tools, and they're so encouraging that it's just, I have found it a very rewarding group to be involved in as a business owner.
Well, I know that a lot of the listeners on this radio station, and myself included, we're business owners, and some of us have smaller businesses where we don't have that many peers that are in the office with us every day. So I love, through the National Association of Women Business Owners and something like the AAUW, to be able to network with other neat, interesting women or men or whatever the case may be. The community service organizations can really offer that to you, and I encourage all listeners to really think about what you'd like to do. I have a little bit of passion with some of the women's groups like you do, or the women's organizations, but there's many other ones like Rotary, Kiwanis. You can, I know I'm not going to give credit to so many community services groups out there that are helping out the community.
Yeah, there are countless, I am sure, and the ones that I am familiar with are the ones that you just named. But get involved in your community, and for the young college student or the young high school student, be involved early and get to know your counselors. Ask questions. Ask lots of questions to your counselors about what are available. Even start that at the middle school level.
Yeah, so when we think about private scholarships, one of the places absolutely to go to think about it, if you've got a junior or a senior in high school thinking about, hey, how are we going to pay for this expensive college expense, is absolutely to go to your guidance counselor, because a lot of these private scholarships that you can apply for, because I know you can apply for the Rotary one, you can apply for Kiwanis, are available. You can find out about them through your guidance counselor. So I really encourage all kids to start with the community, the local community, to look at, see what type of organizations are there, and start looking now to say what organization might be a nice fit for you, and just go to one of the meetings, participate in some of these group events to get a feel for whether it's something that you'd like to be a part of. All of us, all of the high schools now, have community service programs that kids can get involved in. And do you have any programs, do you know, through the AAUW? I know you're also involved with some other organizations where kids can kind of do their community service through your organization, or is that not part of the AAUW?
Well, there are so many aspects to AAUW, and I have been an active member for a long time, and there may be areas that I am not familiar with, as a disclosure. So there could be something available there. But one of the things that's really neat is we can give a graduate a gift, and the gift that we can give them is a membership to the AAUW, which is a fun thing to do, get the young women started early in the process. But I agree with you, Beatrice, that the more young students can do to be active in their community, to understand that part of their education is being able to work with others. And as you get out into the workforce, you understand that more, that the education is just the beginning of your education.
Absolutely. And for some, for many people, also the community may be their church. There are a lot of church organizations so when you're thinking about, hey, how can I get involved in the community? It may be helping animals, if that's where your passion is. It may be helping more needy people in your community. It could be Loaves and Fishes or something. It could be, there's so many different groups that you can get involved in. So I really encourage you to, all these listeners, just to think about how could I get involved in the community. Peggy, I really appreciate you being on my show today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to have a link to the website for the AAUW on my website, and I appreciate your insight and I thank you for your participation in the community, because we all gain from it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, that wraps up another weekly show of College Smart Radio. We hope you picked up some new information today that helps you figure out ways to manage the runaway costs of college. You can hear us each week here on KDOW 1220 AM, Saturdays at 3 p.m. We promise to bring you up-to-date information from the front lines of helping parents deal with the most expensive years of their lives. Also, plan on joining us at one of our upcoming West-Face College Planning workshops and webinars. This is Beatrice Schultz. Thanks for tuning in to College Smart Radio. We look forward to sharing more helpful information with you next week.
You've been listening to College Smart Radio with Certified Financial Planner Beatrice Schultz. If you have questions on today's topic, log on to collegesmartradio.com or call area code 650-587-1559. That's 650-587-1559. Join us next week at this time for another edition of College Smart Radio on AM 1220 KDOW.